we're striking is because for the last 3 years we haven't had a pay rise. We asked the government for 1% and they decided they will give it to us on the condition that the people who are on the agenda for change, all of us know, people who work in the hospital, we are on an agenda for change for our pay. And what they said is, if you're still climbing up the ladder on there, you don't get a pay rise. Unless you're on the top, then you'll get your pay rise, 1%. But the 1% you'll get is unconsolidated, which means it will not go in our pension. So our pension stays as it is, and we get our 1%. Whereas the MP are getting 11% next year with no quibbling. And also, a lot of people, they haven't got enough pay. We've got people working in the hospital having to go to food banks because their children go hungry. A lot of them are working 2-3 jobs just to keep their head above water. And enough is enough. We can't carry on like this. They want us to look after patients, to give a good care. We try our best to do that. But if people are under pressure at home and then at work, how can they deliver? So we've decided we'll do that. And also we're doing from Tuesday to Friday, we're doing a work to roll. We're making sure our members are having their break, starting on time, finishing on time, not giving any extra. Because a lot of staff in the hospital actually work without breaks. They work without breaks, even toilets sometimes they can't even go because they're so busy and not enough staff. And all that, and we don't get the pay rise. And I think it's just unfair. That's why we're doing it.
Can the Princess Alexandra Hospital function if you're going to do this work to rule?
Well, they'll have to. That's the whole point of having good management, isn't it? The management should be able to actually put everything in place. The problem is, we should all work to rule all the time, shouldn't we? Because we work through our contract. But the amount of staff who gives their own time to this hospital so that it functions is just unacceptable. You know, we shouldn't be like this. This is a service we're providing, so staff should be well treated and get a decent pay and work their hours and enough staff to do their job. But the problem is the government's been cutting and cutting and cutting, and now management are actually encouraging people to work extra time and things like that.
So how would you describe this walkout this morning? Is it a political walkout or is it an economic walkout?
I would say economic walkout, but with some of us activists, obviously it would be political as well. But mainly it's economic, because a lot of people, like I say, are going to have to go to food bank. Their children's hungry. A lot of people I know in the hospital actually working 2-3 jobs. They have to do overtime. We don't have to do overtime. It'd be nice to have a family life every now and then. But unfortunately, because the pay is so low, that's why people are having to kill themselves to get some money to keep their head floating.
You've decided it must come to something if midwives have come out to strike at the moment here at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you can see from the turnout behind me and across the country that people in the NHS are not happy with this Tory-led government. You've got Jeremy Hunt on the one hand, who's looking extremely disconnected from normal people's lives, and then you've got, midwives, people that have never ever gone on strike in their whole history, coming out to strike today. And there's a reason for that. I mean, if you speak to midwives themselves, they'll tell you about the difficult conditions they work under, often working through breaks, often working 12, 13-hour shifts. These people are hard-working, committed, they love their jobs, and all they're saying is, you know, we deserve fair pay. And I don't think anyone would probably disagree with that, except for David Cameron, George Osborne and Jeremy Hunt. And as I say, the Tories are making themselves look increasingly more disconnected from people on this. The other thing I would add is, been here quite a while, people going past, lots of people in Harlow bibbing their horns, showing support for NHS staff today.
So how can you convert bibbing of horns into actually something being done?
I mean, I think, you know, what we have to keep doing is putting the pressure on, but ultimately I think we need a Labour government. You know, we've got 24 weeks to the general election now, it's just around the corner. People in Harlow have got a decision. Do they want another 5 years of David Cameron, George Osborne, Jeremy Hunt, of cuts to the NHS, of continued not fair pay and other things? I'm just getting distracted by someone beeping their horn in support. Or do you want 5 years of Labour? You know, the NHS came from us. we brought it into being. We are passionate about the NHS, we'd invest in it and we'd look after our workers. So I think for us, that's what it's about. It's about really in 24 weeks' time getting a Labour government in so we can save our NHS.